Sabog ka. Dahil sa man ka.
Badminton lagi.
Pila ka ka-person?
Ay,
Ay, pila na ka-person? Okay na.
Sige na, imuha nga importante.
Badminton kayo mo.
Study out.
sabi niya sa F pales. Kasa pa office, Madrid.
Surgery. Laparoscopy. Charis.
Si LE. Uy, ay, hindi pa nga ito din sila. Pareho sa
General surgery man.
Sabi ko ng duha, pero kaya LE lang. Kung siguro fluid. Endothelial. Fluid. Fluid. LE ba? Saan niya sa LE?
Okay,
Sa palace.
good afternoon,
Palace.
everyone. So can we start?
Lymphadenopathy.
Okay, so okay, again, this topic is taken from Swartz. But if you natapos na nabasa? Pa. Okay. The latter part, no, meron ito siya parang application ng fluids,
Laparoscopic,
how you are
Joyce,
going to treat
and
it for maintenance
endoscopic.
rate, yung mga ganun. Hindi siya kasama sa lecture. No? Pero you can read it, no? Kasi actually important siya. Kaya lang masyadong long yung topic. No? In fact, in my lecture, yung mga post-grade, mag-resume, hindi ko na sinali. Okay? So, I'm not saying you only read what is included in my slides. I'm saying is that baka hanapin nyo hindi siya kasama. And then, since hindi ko siya sinama sa lecture, hindi ko siya sasama sa exam in computations. Okay? Pero, yun. Basahin niyo pa rin siya. Okay? Okay, so my topic is fluid and electrolytes. Okay, so total body water accounts for around 50 to 60% of the total body weight. And this relationship between the total body weight and total body water is relatively constant. Okay, so water, no? Where do you find water, no? Water is found, no, in greater content in lean tissues like muscle and solid organs. I'm not saying that those are the only, no, structures which contain water. Of course, meron din sa fat sa bone. But comparing the water content of the fat in the bone to muscle and solid organs, mas marami talaga sa solid organs and muscles. So, having said that, no, so a young lean male have a higher proportion of their body weight as water as compared to the elderly. No? Kasi elderly usually wasted na kanilang muscle mass, di ba? And then to the obese individual, no? Because obviously obese individual have more fat than muscles. Okay. Total body water accounts for 60% of the total body weight of males, whereas in females it accounts for only 50%. No? Bakit magkaiba? Bakit 60 yung isa, bakit 50 yung female? No? Kasi in females have more adipose tissue in their bodies, and also in females they have lesser muscle mass as compared to males. That's why males mas maraming muscle, di ba? Ang water mas more sa muscle, so 60% sa males and 50% sa female. Although that is a constant, no? Constant yung ratio na yun, may pagkakaiba, no? Depende rin sa body habitus. So if for obese individuals, okay, the total body water is approximately less than 10 to 20%. No? So ibig sabihin, if you have an obese male individual, instead na 60%, siguro 50% na or 40%. And also, for asthenic, no, mga payat, no, malnourished individual, mas mataas naman ang kanyang water content, no, to may around 10%. So again, if you have a malnourished male individual, instead na 60%, siguro mga 70%. Okay, and the highest proportion, no, of or the highest percentage of total body water is found in newborn, no, up to 80%. And as this newborn grow up, magiging yung 50% magbabae siya to 60 kung lalaki or to 50 kung babae. Okay? So where do you find this water in the body? No? So it is this water in the body is confined into three fluid compartments, namely the plasma, no, which is found in where? Blood, okay, and the fluid in the interstitial space, no. The interstitial space is the space in between the cells, no. So yung water then tawag yan interstitial fluid, and then you have the intracellular fluid, no, the fluid inside the cells, okay. So three fluid compartments yun siya, no. Pero conveniently sa mga discussion, no, like sa book, i-refer sa instead of 3, ginagawa na nilang 2. So what are these two fluid compartments? You have the intracellular fluid compartment and the extracellular fluid compartment. Okay? So the extracellular fluid compartment compose the plasma and the interstitial fluid, and together they compose 1/3 of the total body water. Okay? And the intracellular fluid compartment composes the remaining 2/3. Okay, so the extracellular water composes 20% of the total body weight, while the intracellular water, okay, composes of the remaining ilan? 40%. Okay, so itong 20% na extracellular water divided into plasma 5%. And the interstitial fluid is 15%. Okay, so far klaro. Okay. So, and the largest proportion of this water, no, is found in the skeletal muscle mass. Now, talking about the two fluid compartments, di ba? So, obviously fluid compartments are fluid ang kanya laman, no? But aside from that, di lang solely fluid, meron siyang other contents, no, or components. So in the ECF compartment, the sodium is the principal cation, no. So this is the ion which is positively charged, okay. And the principal anions in the ECF compartment are the chloride and the bicarbonate. Okay. On the other side, in the ICF compartment, the primary cation are the potassium and magnesium, and the primary anions are the phosphate, sulfate, and proteins. Question, sa ECF ba walang potassium and magnesium? Meron o wala? Meron, pero hindi siya ang primary, no? In the same manner sa ICF, meron pa rin sodium, pero hindi siya ang dominant na cation. Okay? Now, so you have the two compartments, may water. So itong water nito freely moves from one compartment to the other. Okay? And why does the water do that? Kasi always ang body, no, the body always aims for equilibrium. No? Binabalance talaga ng body, no? Just like sa fluid balance nga, kunyari, kulang ka ng fluid, ano ang ma-feel mo? Magiging thirsty ka, no? Gusto mo uminom. Pag sobra naman ang fluid ng katawan mo, gusto, hindi siya balance, no? So ibabalance ng body yun, papa-activate niya na mag-ihi ka, right? So, gano'n yun siya. So, kasama yun sa maintenance ng equilibrium is yung movement ng water to and from one compartment to the other, okay? So, the movement of water across the cell membrane, okay, depends on osmosis, okay? So, again, this happens because to maintain the osmotic equilibrium, okay? And the movement is determined by the concentration of the solutes on each side of the membrane. No? So, depende anong dami ng solutes, no? Whether it's sodium, magnesium, or whatever. Kung sa number na in between the two compartments. So, anong movement ng water ngayon? Saan siya magpunta? Okay, so the more the merrier doon siya magpunta, no? So you have a semi-permeable membrane, no, dividing the ICF and the ECF, and the water kung saan ang mas maraming solutes doon sa mag-draw, no? So that's the movement of the osmosis, no, to achieve osmotic equilibrium. Now, let's talk about the normal exchange of the fluid and electrolytes. So a healthy individual, okay, consumes an average of 2 liters of water per day. Ano ba ito totoo sa inyo? Do you consume 2 liters of water per day? Okay? And this, from these 2 liters, 75% are from oral intake, and the 25% comes from the solid food that we ingest. So kung merong entry ng tubig sa katawan, meron ding labas, no? So daily water losses include 800 to 1500 ml in the urine, 250 ml in the stool, and 600 ml in insensible loss. Ano ba yung insensible loss? Sweat, okay. Oh, grabe, cry. 600 ml yung major breakup siguro. So sweating, are you sweating right now? No? Oh, yes. So paano nyo nalaman na nag-sweat kayo o hindi kayo nag-sweat? Ma-feel, sumasense. So the question again, is sweating sensible or insensible? So it's sensible, no? So hindi siya insensible loss. So we will go back to that later in verification. Okay. And the kidneys, no? As long as you're healthy, okay? Healthy yung kidney mo, kahit na mag-restrict ka ng water intake, the kidney will lose around 500 to 800 ml of urine per day, regardless of the amount of oral intake. So kahit hindi ka mag-inom the whole day, hindi ka magkain, dapat kung normal ka, healthy ang kidneys mo, dapat may maglabas, no? But of course, siyempre, vary ang kulay nun, no? Kasi ang concentration ng urine mo. Pero hindi siya dapat zero, no? Kung mag-restrict ka, tapos mag-zero ka, it means something is wrong with your kidneys. Okay? So let's talk about the sensible water loss. So sensible, yun si sense mo. No? Pwede hindi mo ma-sense. Okay? So example, sweating. No? Mahirap yung exam sa GenPAT, kanyari, sweat ka ng ganito. So, sensible water loss yan, no? Urination, no? Siguro agree lahat, no? Pag mag-ihi ka, ma-sense mo, no? Hindi ka pwede, ay, bas, nakaihi ako, sir, sorry, no? You can always sense that. Tapos, wound drainage, no? When you go to the clinics, may encounter ka ng mga wound na ganito, no? Weeping wound, tawag namin yan, no? Wet wound. So, part yan sa ng water loss. No? So, if you have a patient na you're monitoring the fluid balance, or you're monitoring for fluid losses, kasama yung mga ganitong klaseng wound drainage. Pathologic loss of gastrointestinal fluid, no? Sobra ng tequila, so ito. Ano ba yung mga pathological losses of GI fluids? No? Vomiting, ano ba? Diarrhea, no? Yun yung mga common example. So insensible water loss, no? This is the water loss na hindi mo ma-sense, no? And 75% of this is coming from the skin, no? So kahit nga hindi mo alam, pero nag-lose ka ng water. And 25% with the lungs. And the insensible water loss is increased by factors like fever. Kaya pag may lagnat ka, di ba, you feel dry. Pati lips mo mag-crack minsan kung may lagnat, no? In cases or in a situation na meron kang hypermetabolism, and when you hyperventilate, no? Kita may crash na nagdaan, hyperventilate ka. Parang dry ang makaramdam mo, no? So, kasi nag-increase ang insensible water loss. Okay, so, question so far. Now, let's talk about the classification of body fluid changes. So, there are disorders in fluid balance, and they are classified into 3 categories. Namely, disturbances in volume, disturbances in concentration, and disturbances in composition. So, tatlo yun, no? So, itong tatlo na ito, meron silang distinct na mechanism, no? And then they're different from each other. Well, they may happen simultaneously, no? And when you do your correction, these different disturbances are corrected differently, no, or separately. So let's talk about disturbances in volume. So disturbances in volume, okay, you have the EC volume deficit, or the extracellular volume deficit. So this is the most common fluid disorder in surgical patients. So when you say volume deficit, it can be acute or chronic. Ano ang acute? Once lang acute. Sudden, yeah. Not really sudden. It's more of parang a shorter time, no? Kunyari, kahapon na nangyari, kanina, no? Tapos, chronic naman is long term, no? So, minsan variable yung chronic. May chronic na sabihin na 3 weeks, chronic na Yung magsabi naman minsan to in some disease entity, ano lang yan, 3 weeks pa lang, measurement na naman, 3 months, no? Variable yung ano. Pero to easier understand it, yung chronic mas shorter yung time, yung acute rather, and chronic is mahaba. Okay, so everyone agrees. Meron ba ito very, magano na ako, side trip lang ako ng konti. Meron pa dito sa atin na pag makarinig ng acute, parang mag-worry na. Kasi may mga ano, no? Pag magpunta kayo sa clinic, meron kayo ma-encounter ng ganung pasyente, no? Pag marinig na acute, ibig sabihin severe. Wala kang kikilalang gano'n. Sigurado kayo, wala kayo nakausap na gano'n. O kasi common yan siya, no? Dok, na-acute pa ito akong uncle, Dok. Gano'n siya. So, gusto ko lang mas ano niya, ma-aware ko yun. Kasi when I was, bagong graduate lang ako, and then I was doing my moonlighting. Kwento lang ako, sandali. Tapos, I was awakened by the nurse na meron daw admission at 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Pagdating ko dun sa Broken Shire pa that time, maliit pa lang yung, hindi pa siya open lahat. Ako lang mag-isa duty na doktor sa ER sa ward, wala ng iba. Tapos mayroon dong isang pasyente nakaupo doon, siguro nakakumot siya, no? Parang may fever siya. Tapos may mga relative dyan, maraming bags dyan, tapos may jeep doon sa labas. Nagbiyahe pa sila. So, pagtingin ko, kinuha akong sa prehistory, pag-examine ko, sabi ko, ay ma'am, ano po, meron po acute tonsillitis yung anak, no? Okay, so yung tonsillitis acute. So yun lang, parang di ba 3 o'clock in the morning, i-rush mo sa hospital, magbiyahe kayo na malayo para sa acute tonsillitis. Then nabigla ako kasi yung isang uncle na palakad-lakad biglang galit. Sabi niya, daan palagi ko. Idugay-digay nila na acute na hinoon. Yeah, gano'n. Tapos alam mo yun, at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're so sleepy. Na siya, come on. Ganito talaga. No? Galit na galit siya. Pagtapos ng mga Dok, sigurado din ka, Dok, acute, Dok. Masinapat tayo pag mahimo, Dok, hindi ko acute. Okay? So, this is a real story. No? So, para sa akin, ay, parang kasagwa pakinggan na may isang doktor na gano'n ang paniwala ba. Sabi kayo, ma'am, acute na po, sakit ng anak niyo. So, clear lang tayo sa acute and chronic, okay? So, para alam ko, doktor kayo, kasi alam niyo yung acute, ha? Baka may wala. Bigla, bakit na acute yan? Nababayaan, ha? Okay, so yun. So, clear tayo, ha? Acute and chronic, ha? Pag makalinig kayo acute, dapat chill lang kayo, ha? Okay. So, acute volume deficit is associated with cardiovascular and central nervous system sign. So, ano ba yung cardiovascular sign? No? Pag may water deficit, pag may volume deficit. Give me an example of a cardiovascular sign. Tanong siya, Doctor, what is a cardiovascular sign of a volume deficit? Di ba, always remember na the body will always aim for equilibrium. So, may volume deficit, ma-feel ng body, ano gawin ng body? Pump niya, di ba? So, tachycardia is a cardiovascular sign. No? Tapos kung hindi ma-address ang siyempre mag-hypertension din na kayo. So, yan yung cardiovascular sign. Ano naman ang central nervous system sign ng volume deficit? Hindi. It has something to do with the level of sensorium.
Consciousness.
Ako madalas ako niyan, pag nagre-lecture ka ng mga alauna, alas 2 ng hapon, maraming may central nervous system sign. Yun, pag dehydrated, inaantok. No? So that's the central nervous system. So if the volume deficit is acute, usually baka tachycardia lang, precipitation, o medyo bata, medyo inaantok. Okay? So that's the acute volume deficit. Ang chronic volume deficit naman, no? Sabihin may volume deficit that has been there for quite some time. Aside from meron siyang cardiovascular and central nervous system sign, mag-present siya ng tissue signs. No? So ano yung mga tissue sign? No? Usually common sa pediatrics. Diarrhea and vomiting. Pagdating nila, tingnan mo kaagad tingnan mo ang baby neto. Look at the eye area. Sunken, no? So yung tawag dyan, sunken eyeballs. No? Pag magawa ka ng, magawa ka ng history PE, o physical examination, sunken eyeball. No? Sign yan siya ng volume deficit na chronic. Okay? What else? Look for the skin turgor. No? Ano yung skin turgor? Kung gaano ka, no? Yung parang pag pinch mo yung skin, magbalik ka agad siya sa dati. That's a good skin turgor. Pag sign ng chronic volume deficit, mabagal ang pagbalik. No? So try nyo sa inyo, no? Magbalik ka agad yan. Okay? So that differentiates the chronic deficits from the acute deficit. So in surgical patients, ang common causes ng extracellular volume deficit is loss of gastrointestinal fluid through prolonged nasogastric suctioning. No? Ito siya. Ang tawag nito is NGT. No? Ang sabihin ng NGT, nasogastric tube. No? Kasi magpasok siya sa sa nose, ang tip niyan will end where? Stomach. No? Minsan pag masyadong excited yung clerk, mag-abot na siya ng small intestine. Pero stomach lang siya dapat. No? So, meron kang patient na gano'n, tapos naka-open yung end. Ibig sabihin nun, kung anong meron sa stomach, lalabas doon. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, kung open yun siya, may lumalabas, nagalus ng fluid ng patient. Okay? Aside sa fluid, nagalus din siya ng mga electrolytes. Kasi may electrolytes yung stomach, no? Vomiting, diarrhea, enterocutaneous fistula. Ano yung enterocutaneous fistula? Yung fistula, ano yung fistula, no? O connection siya, no? Minsan sa ibang maraming klaseng fistula, minsan malaman mo kung ano yung two structures na kinoconnect niya just by looking at the name, no? Like ito, enterocutaneous. Entero means what? Yeah, small bowel, entero, di ba? Enterolysis, entero. Ang cutaneous is the skin, no? So ito siya. If you look at this one, ito. Okay, this fistula siya. Pag tingnan mo, this is the abdomen, no? Pansin mo mayroong scar sa gitna, no? When I was a resident, siguro may mga 3 patients kami ganito, no? Common siya sa mga elderly, sa may mga marami comorbidity, no? Karoon ng abdominal surgery before. Tapos, very malnourished. I didn't talaga before. Recently, no? Tapos, bigla na siya mag-fever, magkaroon ng erythema ng skin, then magkaroon ng ulcer formation, then later on, meron mga secretions maglabas. No, yung lumalabas yung sucus enteritis, no? Yung galing sa small bowel, no? So if you have that kind of patient, very difficult to manage, no? For one, because usually nga sabi ko common sa elderly, common sa may mga immunocompromised, sa maraming comorbidities. And then aside from that, what are you dealing with this, no? If you have this kind of patient, you're dealing with a patient who have water loss, may volume deficit, kasi lumalabas sa bowel, from the bowel dito, no? And then aside from that, you have a patient with electrolyte losses, no? May imbalance ka. Okay, going back sa 3 patients namin, walang nag-survive doon. Expire lahat yung mga pasyente kasi very difficult to manage. Then if you have soft tissue injuries like this, no? Expect na malaki ang volume deficit, no? Not only because of the blood loss, but also because of the crush, no? The crush muscles, the crush, this kind of crush injuries. And also in a situation where there is sequestration. What is sequestration? Sequestration doesn't, pag sequestration, ibig sabihin na meron talagang physical na fluid maglabas sa katawan. Pwede may shifting of fluid lang from between the 2 compartments, no? So, for example, no, this room, kunyari, this is the ECF, this is the ICF, okay? Sabihin ko kunyari na sige, everyone goes to this side. So, kung tingnan mo yung CCTV, nakafocus dito, empty room siya, di ba? Pero actually, hindi siya empty, no? Walang lumabas sa room, okay? Kaya lahat lang na sequester on this side, okay? So, pwede mangyari yan sa burns, no? In a certain intra-abdominal process, no? So, the shifting of, kasi extracellular volume deficit, di ba? The shifting of fluid from the ECF to the ICF, no? It will be also regarded as a volume deficit. No? And you call that sequestration. Okay? Klaro ba? Okay. So this table shows the different GI secretions, no? So just to give you an idea, for example, yung intercutaneous fistula, small intestine. So ilan, kung meron kang patient na merong intercutaneous fistula, how much fluid is lost every day? Around 2 to 3 liters. Okay? Tapos, siyempre, i-replace mo siya. Ilang sodium ang kailangan mong i-replace? Okay? So, this amount, you multiply with this, also potassium, also chloride, and so on. So, ganun kahirap, no? Pag meron kang ganun, no? So, at the same time, kunyari, meron kang patient naka-NGT. Sige lang labas na from the NGT. So, sa 24 hours, 1 to 2 liters ng fluid ang nawawala sa patient mo. Plus this amount of electrolyte. Okay? Okay, klaro? Okay, so then let's go to the other side of the fence. No? Let's go to the volume excess. So, volume excess, ito yung opposite ng volume deficit. No? So, common causes niya, it can be iatrogenic. What is iatrogenic? Physician na?
Medicine.
So, pag marinig mo iatrogenic, yung sabihin niya, caused by someone who is supposed to provide healthcare. No? Kaya kunyari may nangyari dahil ang may kasalanan ng doktor, ang medtech, ang nurse, midwives, iatrogenic ang term doon. Okay? Kunyari ako, nag-opera ako ng appendicitis, imbis na kung tanggalin ko appendix, nabutas ko yung colon, no? So that colon injury is a iatrogenic injury. Okay? Next is itong extracellular volume excess may be secondary to renal dysfunction, congestive heart failure, and liver cirrhosis. So tingnan niyo itong ano to. Anong na-notice mo? Ito, ano to siya? Hindi, yung buong picture, tubular vein ba? So ano sa tingin nyo? Is that an old patient or young patient?
Old.
Okay, so old. No? So old patients are very prone to have this volume excess. Okay? And then you will know that they are having volume excess, distended iliac vein. May nakakabit na tube. Ano yung tube na yan? Oxygen ang nakalagay niya, no? So ibig sabihin, hirap siya maghinga. Kailangan niya ng oxygen support, no? And this patient is sitting upright siya, no? Kasi may mga volume excess like for example patients with congestive heart failure or patients with yung damage yung heart nila. They cannot tolerate lying flat. Kaya common yan siya pag magkuha ka ng history tapos kita mo nakaupo tapos talingin mo, ma'am, kung natutulog kayo, ilang una na ginagamit nyo, no? Kasi dun yung malaman kung kung comfortable siya mag-lie flat, no? Kasi pag may mga congestive heart failure, sabi nila, 4 na una ng aking ang ginagamit. Bakit kung isa lang hindi kaya para kumalindot, no? So pero hindi counted yung isang unang ginagamit niya at 3 ang tanday, no? Yung ginagamit na sa likod na sabi niyo, 5 ang ginagamit ko daw, 4 ang tanday ko, isa lang. Yung ginagamit ko sa ulo. Okay? So that's one way of detecting, no, kung may congestive heart failure patient. Tapos, pag x-ray dyan sa kanila, usually ganito. Opaque, kung makita mo, no? May opacity sa lungs. Di ba sa x-ray, ano bang kulay dapat ng lungs? Black siya, no? Kasi sa x-ray, ma-penetrate ng x-ray yung depende sa density ng structures, no? Kung medyo makapal, then dense structures, magiging white siya, hindi niya ma-penetrate. Pag light, magiging black siya, di ba? So lungs siya, although ang lungs is kasi filled with air siya and ang density ng air is light, dapat black ang lungs. Merong mga vascular structures, pero usually predominantly black. Pero sa may mga volume excess, kita mo puti-puti, no? Tapos kung gusto mong tingnan ang loob ng lungs niyan, makita nyo ganito. may frothy fluid, no? May edema kasi may pulmonary edema sila. Supposedly, hangin ang lahat yan, walang fluid, no? Yung puti na puti, yung puti-puti yan yung sa fluid. Okay? So aside from that, meron din silang, tingnan mo paa nila, no? Meron silang bipedal edema. Bipedal kasi dapat dalawa talaga. No? Hindi pwede isa na, no? Bipedal edema siya. No? Some would call this pitting edema. Pag i-press mo siya, maganda talaga siya maglalim. Okay? So very common siya in the elderly patients and patients with cardiac disease. No? They very prone sila for developing congestive heart failure and pulmonary edema. Kaya for this patient, dapat sa clinics, dapat careful kayo sa pag-run ng fluid. No? Kaya may mga pasyente nag-heart attack kahit na bata pa, kahit na 30 years old na. Talagang ang fluid niyan very slow. Hindi yan pwedeng fasting mo sila, mag-consider sila, no? So, ganun. So, that's the volume excess, no? So, this table shows the different signs and symptoms of volume disturbances, namely the volume deficit and the volume excess. And as a review, di ba meron silang yung mga nag-regulate ng volume control, no? Namely the osmoreceptors and the baroreceptors, no? Nadaanan nyo na yun ng first year, no? Ano ang osmoreceptors, ano ang baroreceptors, no? So yung baroreceptors, yung makita niyo sa aortic arch, saka sa carotid sinuses. Okay? So that's the disturbances in volume. Okay? No questions sa volume? Next is disturbances in concentration. So ito siya, no? Sa disturbances in concentration, dalawa lang ito, no? Dealing with sodium pareho, no? So anong compartment ang involved dito? ECF or ICF? ECF or ICF? Okay. ECF siya kasi emia, no? Sa blood, no? So pag disturbances in concentration, it's either hypo or hyper. Meaning hypo is low, hyper is high. Okay? Not is the sodium in the blood. Okay? So let's talk about hyponatremia. So a low serum sodium level occurs when there's an excess of extracellular water relative to sodium. So in hyponatremia, the ECF volume can be normal, it can be high or it can be low. And the causes of and the hyponatremia is due to two things, no? Pwedeng sodium depletion, kaya low siya, no? Kasi kulang ang sodium or depleted ang sodium, or diluted ang sodium. So let's talk first about delusional hyponatremia. So this type of hyponatremia is due to the excess of extracellular water. Okay, so common causes yan is sobrang inom ng tubig. No? So pag sige ka tubig, pwede ka pala mag-hyponatremia, no? Delusional hyponatremia. Another common cause is the iatrogenic IV excess free water administration. No? Yung IV ng pasyente na sobra, dapat ma-consume siya in 4 hours. After 45 minutes, naubos yung isang liter. No? So, magkaroon ka ng delusional hyponatremia, no? Saka siyempre, pulmonary edema na rin. Okay, in some patients, most of patients, pwede sila magkaroon ng increased secretion of antidiuretic hormone. No? So, kung increase ang ADH nila, ano mangyari? Anti-diurese. So, ayaw sila ipaihi. No? So, magkaroon ng water retention. No? So magkaroon ng volume expansion and then magkaroon ng hyponatremia because diluted ang sodium. Certain medications can cause water retention and thus causing hyponatremia like antipsychotics, tricyclic antidepressants, angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors. Itong ACE inhibitors, ano ito sa gamot ito sa for hypertension. Okay? So kaya very common yan sa elderly, pag magbibigyan ng ganito, pwede sila magkaroon ng hyponatremia. Okay. Now, for the depletional hyponatremia, common causes, decrease in sodium intake. No? Yung mga naka-low salt diet, yung mga hypertensive na naka-low salt diet, saka yung mga patients na they are not capable of feeding themselves in normal food, so naka-enteral feeding sila, no? Commercially prepared feeding like this. So ito sila, notorious sila to have low sodium content. So kung ang patient nyo is dependent on that, no, pwede siya magkaroon ng depletional hyponatremia. Okay? And also of course, the usual mga gastrointestinal losses, no? like vomiting, prolonged nasogastric suctioning, diarrhea can cause depletion of hyponatremia, as well as those patients na naka-diuretic. No? Sige sila ihi, no? Kasama ang sodium na malus, kaya meron silang depletion of hyponatremia, saka yung mga patients na may primary renal diseases. So also, no, in certain patients, no, like patients with untreated hyperglycemia, so sino itong mga patient na ito? Ito yung mga diabetics na siguro hindi nila alam na diabetic sila, o yung mga diabetic na improperly treated, no, or mali ang treatment o kulang yung treatment, and also yung patients na may mannitol, binibigyan ng mannitol, no, yung may mga head injury, binibigyan sila ng mannitol, pwede sila magkaroon ng hyponatremia, no? In what way, no? Remember yung table, yung slide ko sa osmosis, no? So you have here the ECF and the ICF. So kung merong hyperglycemia, for example, untreated diabetic, so marami siyang glucose dyan, no? Siyempre saan? Sa blood. So that's in the ECF. So since maraming glucose dyan, dumami ang sodium sa ECF, no? And then saan magpunta yung water? From low concentration to high, right? So maglabas yung water from the ICF, punta sa ng ECF, magkaroon siya ng hyponatremia. What kind? Dilutional, no? Kasi hindi naman nagbaba yung wala namang depletion ng sodium. Na-dilute yung sodium. Okay? So, symptoms of hyponatremia, nausea and vomiting, headache, confusion, restlessness, irritability, loss of energy, drowsiness, fatigue, muscle weakness, spasm, cramps, seizure, and coma. So, in patients with normal renal function, usually symptoms will not happen in hyponatremia until the serum sodium level is at 120 mg per liter or less. Okay? And take note, usually, meron ka mga deficit, no? Sa deficit naman or imbalance sa mga electrolytes, ang mga presentation nila halos pare-pareha. Whether it's hyper or hypo, you will notice it later. Okay, so what is the treatment? No? If it's dilutional, you restrict the intake of free water. Okay, ganun ka-simple, no? Or if the problem is depletional hyponatremia, you replace the sodium, no? Especially if it's severe, no? Okay, so if neurologic symptoms are present, you can give 3% normal saline. And this is given to increase the sodium by no more than 1 mg per liter per hour. Okay? So no more, no, take note, no more than 1 mg per liter per hour until the serum sodium level reaches 130 mg per liter and the neurologic symptoms are improved. And remember this, no? Always avoid, no, or do not do rapid correction. Okay? Why? Kasi pag mag-rapid correction ka sa hyponatremia, mabilis ang replacement mo. This may lead to osmotic demyelination syndrome. No? So, ano ba yung osmotic demyelination syndrome? No? So, merong destruction of the myelin sheath. No? Kasi with rapid correction of the hyponatremia, the brain is unable to recapture the lost osmolytes, leading to dehydration of the brain tissue and demyelination of white matter. Okay? So, kunyari, may pasyente ka, diarrhea lang siya, no? Tapos nagpunta sa iyo, no? Other than that, normal ang tingin mo, may konting weakness na mga gano'n. No? Luya siya, no? Tapos ni-replace mo, excited ka, balik natin ito sa normal. Tapos mag-end up ka ng patient like this, no? Your patient will not be able to walk again, no? Mag-lose niyang control ng kanyang both lower limb and upper limb, no? Magkaroon siya ng spastic quadriplegia. Tapos magkaroon din siya ng flappiness of the neck, okay? And then you have a patient with they look confused, okay? And then magkaroon siyang horizontal gaze paralysis. So paano siya naging no? Di ba sa common term yan, gulay, no? Maging gulay siya, no? So imagine a patient, no? Active patient. Or for example, may patient ka, engineer, matalino, hyponatremia, i-replace yung bilis. Maging ganito itsura ng pasyente na yun. So dapat talaga very careful, no? So avoid rapid correction, no? So the demyelination in osmotic demyelination syndrome, okay, includes the midbrain, the thalamus, the basal nuclei, and the cerebral lobe. Okay? And actually, hindi lang sa hyponatremia, no? Any replacement na gawin nyo, always avoid rapid correction. No? Slow correction lang. No? Basta avoid rapid correction kasi mas hazardous yung effect niya. Okay, so let's go now to hypernatremia. This is due to the loss of free water and the gain of sodium. So like the hyponatremia, the ECF in hypernatremia may be normal, may be high, or may be low. Okay, common causes, iatrogenic administration of sodium-containing fluid. In certain medical condition, no, where there is mineralocorticoid excesses, like in patients with Cushing syndrome. No? Sino ba yung may... Give me an example of a patient na may Cushing syndrome. Very common niya siya, no? Obese, hindi. Yung mga nag-abuse ng steroid, no? The thing with steroid abuse, pwede hindi nila alam, no? Like, meron akong kakilala na meron siyang daughter na payatot, yung daughter niya. Tapos biglang, one time, nag-party pa kami, may reunion kami. Parang proud siya sa daughter niya. Nakatingin ako sa daughter niya. Sabi niya, taba na lang siya. Hindi na yan siya, may binibigay ka din sa kanya. So usually itong mga steroid, mga kaibigan, nag-bigay. Yung may mga marami tayong private na kaibigan na hindi naman doktor, no? So, advice sila. Tapos, pag tingnan mo ito may mga Cushing syndrome, tingnan mo sila, taba sila, pero ang truncal at obesity lang. Lean ang payat ang kanilang mga extremities nila. Taba, tingnan ang mukha nila, pero bilog, no? Ang tawag yan, moon face, okay? Tapos meron yan silang, dito, buffalo hump, okay? Hindi naman hands, may hump lang ako, hindi naman parang hands, pag may gano'n na sila, okay? Ang problem lang sa common, the lay person, hindi nila ma-recognize yan, no? Ilang beses ako naka-encounter ng gano'n. Sabi niya, Dok, kauyon kayo ko sa akong bagong vitamins. Sabi, anong pangalan ng vitamins mo? Sinabi niya, sabi ko, steroids mo niya, hindi mo yung vitamin. Hindi nila akala ba sila. And then, many years ago, nung single pa ako, pag wala akong ginagawa, ipupunta ako, uso pa yung disco ng araw. Punta ko doon, siyempre wala akong girlfriend. Punta ako. Meron siyempre, meron may GRO, di ba, nagsayawin ka, di ba?
No!
Hindi pa tapos. Wholesome ito, wholesome. Diba yung wala ka ano, nilagay ko sa'yo, di ba ako nag-sa'yo, so doon na kami. Naging kaibigan ko siya, kagyan tuwang siya. Sabi niya, payat daw siya dati. Medyo sexy na siya. So, talaga, oh. Tapos sinabi niya yung kamot. Tapos sabi ko, steroids yan. Sabi ko, stop mo na yan. Hindi siya maganda. Then true enough, siguro tagal ako na gano'n. Med school na siguro ako na hindi ko maalala. Kita ko sa ilalap ko siya, saan siya, no? Wala na siya dun sa disco na yun. May sikat na disco dati yung spams na. So, pinanong ko, yung pala, meron siyang kasayaw na-slip lang sa konti, natumba siya, nabali yung kanyang femur. So, yun. Di ba ang femur is the hardest bone in the body? Pero yung matumba kang mabali ang femur mo. Ang bata siguro, early 20s lang yata edad. Kasi di ba ang isa sa mga side effect ng steroids is maging brittle yung buhok. So yun. Hanggang doon na yung relationship ko doon sa Gerald. Sabi ko, sabi tayo. So, others like hyperaldosteronism, congenital adrenal hyperplasia. No? So, very common sila mag-hypernatremia. Okay, other causes, okay, you have renal water loss like patients with diabetes insipidus. No? Itong diabetes insipidus, nakakita na kayo gano'n?
Yeah.
May mga nurses pa dito, nakakita na kayo ganito?
Si Mama Maya.
Ito, ang hirap. Okay. Mapilitan ka maging genius para mag-compute ng water replacement dito. No? Kasi yung may diabetes insipidus, sobrang ihi nila. No? Kunyari, nagbigay ka ng 2 liters na fluid, ang ihi niya 5 liters. Oh, yan, diabetes insipidus yan. Very difficult, no? So, it can cause hypernatremia, use of diuretics, renal disease, and of course, For non-renal losses, you have diarrhea, loss due to fever, tapos itong tracheostomy, no? Naka-tracheostomy, mag-hyperventilate. No? So, di ba yung insensible water loss? Di ba? So, kaya huwag niyo ito papanoorin ng mga excreted. Baka ma-dehydrate sila, mag-hyperventilate sila. No? So, symptoms of hypernatremia, muscle weakness, restlessness, extreme thirst, confusion, lethargy, irritability, seizures, loss of consciousness. More or less, para-pareha yung di ba? So, meaning I don't be asking question what presents with seizures. Lahat sila can present with seizures, di ba? So, just for awareness, na halos pare-pareha ang kanilang mga presentation. Okay? So, symptoms of hypernatremia, usually hindi siya nagmamanifest. No? Why? Because kung normal or healthy ka, di ba? Intact ang thirst mechanism mo. Okay, mag-drink ka talaga ng water, no? Unless na-trap ka sa room or nasa gitna ka ng desert, yun, kahit na thirsty ka, wala ka maano. So, ano siya, no? That, magka-hypernatremia ka, dyan na mag-manifest ang symptoms. Okay? So, symptoms are rare until the level exceeds 160 mg per liter. And once it's present, it is associated with significant morbidity and mortality. Okay? And also take note in hypernatremia, may shifting ng water, no? From the ICF to the ECF, causing cellular dehydration. And yung movement ng shifting ng water can sometimes put traction on the cerebral vessels, and this can lead to subarachnoid hemorrhage. Kaya in hypernatremia, no? Pwede sila magkaroon ng maging restless sila, irritable. They might go into seizures, they may go into coma and they die, no? Because of this subarachnoid hemorrhage. Pwede hindi nila ma-detect, ma-diagnose, bakit biglang na ganito? Nag-change ang sensorium, yung pala nag-subarachnoid bleed na. Okay? So in hypovolemic hypernatremia, you will see the classic signs of tachycardia, orthostasis, and hypotension. And they have these unique findings of dry, sticky mucous membrane. So that's hypernatremia. The treatment, okay, you treat the water deficit, you can give hypotonic fluid, you can administer water, no, enterally. Kunyari, kailangan mo painumin ng, di ba, ang tao naman, tapos ng 1 2 liters, busog na siya, di ba, hindi niya kaya. So how can you replace the water? No? Lagyan nyo ng NGT, no, or doon ipadaan. So hindi na mabypass na yung stomach, or lagyan nyo ng NGT, tuloy-tuloy nyo, gawin yung intestinal tube siya. So hindi niya na ma-feel yung na maging full ang kanyang stomach, no? So mahabol ang replacement. And again, take note, no? In the treatment, slow correction should be always be undertaken, because overly rapid correction can lead to cerebral edema and herniation, no? So yun yung takeaway message ko sa inyo mamaya, always do slow correction, no? Avoid rapid correction. Okay, next is disturbances in composition. So disturbances in composition, hyperkalemia, defined as a serum potassium concentration above the normal range of 3.5 to 5 mg per liter, causes excessive potassium intake. Take potassium tablets, increase releases of potassium from the cell, no? So kailan mangyari yun? Ito, kunyari, nag-date kayo ng girlfriend mo, na-late ka ng 5 minutes, binugbog ka ng girlfriend mo. But ngayon ka lang, kanina pa ako naghihintay. Pasa-pasa ka, no? Tapos bigla, hyperkalemia ka na. Hyperkalemia na ako. So, yung mga crashing injuries like this, no? So, pag yung breakdown ng muscle cell, karoon mag-skip ng potassium from the cells, red cell lysis, no? Maraming condition nagkakos ng red cell lysis. So, isa doon ang massive blood transfusion reaction, di ba? Pwede siya, no? So, pag mag-break yung mga red blood cells, yung potassium from there, no? Mag-escape, mag-cause ng hyperkalemia. So, may mga severe na ganito. So, may patient kayo sa ER na may ganito, no? Always check the electrolytes as well, no? And also, of course, hydrate this patient, no? Kasi may volume deficit sila. At the same time, pwede sila magkaroon ng hyperkalemia. Other causes, hyperglycemia, mannitol, certain medications like potassium-sparing diuretics, ACE inhibitors, NSAIDs, mga pain reliever, mga analgesic can cause hyperkalemia. And in cases of acute and chronic renal insufficiency. Okay, so skip natin yan. So, pwede siya mag-cause the usual vomiting, colic, diarrhea, paralysis, arrhythmia, and cardiac arrest. Okay, goals of therapy for hyperkalemia: reduce the total body potassium. Next is shift potassium from the extracellular space to the intracellular space. And then the third is protect the cells from the effect of increased potassium. So how do you do this? Okay, you can give Kayexalate, or sodium polystyrene sulfonate. Okay, ano ang action nito? They bind potassium, in exchange for sodium. So mag-diminish, magbawasan yung free potassium na nag-circulate, Kung may mga ECG changes sa patient din, you can give calcium chloride or calcium gluconate to counteract the myocardial effects of hyperkalemia, Pero kung magbigay ka nitong calcium chloride and calcium gluconate, very slow, Yung time namin wala pang mga infusion, kami nagbibigay daan-daan. So gano'n, Pero kung nyari, nagamit mo na yun, pero wala pa rin nangyari sa, hindi pa rin na-correct yung hyperkalemia, the last recourse is to subject your patients to dialysis. When all the conservative measures fail. So this table summarizes what I just mentioned. Okay. Next is hypokalemia. Hypokalemia is more common than hyperkalemia in the surgical patient. What are the causes? Inadequate potassium intake, excessive renal potassium excretion, potassium loss through pathologic GI secretions like diarrhea, vomiting, intercutaneous fistula, prolonged nasogastric suctioning. Okay, certain medications like amphotericin B, aminoglycosides, cystatin, ifosfamide, mga chemotherapeutic medications. And sometimes this medication can cause magnesium depletion. So pag mag-check kayo, hindi lang yung check nyo lang ang potassium. Dapat check nyo lahat, Kasi pag bagsak ang magnesium mo, pwede mag-cause ng bagsak din ng potassium. Kaya magtaka ka, si ka-replace ng potassium, di man naga-correct. Yung pala yung magnesium na mismo, na mababa rin. Okay? So take note of this. Okay, so symptoms of hypokalemia: ill-use, constipation, weakness, fatigue, diminished tendon reflexes, paralysis, cardiac arrest. When I was a resident, meron akong ganitong patient. Came in for diarrhea, siguro around 20 plus, 30 plus engineer siya. Tapos diarrhea for few days, few days lang yata. Tapos for discharge siya, nag-vomit na siya ng 3 times. Tapos nagsuspect ako na baka mababa ang stress. Chinek ko. Tapos, mababa ang potassium. Ibigay ako ng potassium pero hindi masyado ako aggressive kaya takot niya ako sa rapid correction. Tapos, nag-arrest bigla. Una pala sabi niya na, sabi niya na, mabigat ang mga kamay ko pero malaki kayo ng katawan, mabigat ang kamay ko. Sabi ko, nag-replace naman ako ng so akala ko mag-okay siya. Bigla siya nag-arrest. Tapos din na namin siya na-revive. Kasi may mga patient may mga ganong patient, na konting pawis lang bagsak ang potassium nila. Yung merong mga ganong class na kalimutan ko yung pangalan. Yung idiopathic hypokalemia something. So hindi mo talaga masabi na, ako nga, mas grabe yung pawis ko, mas grabe yung diarrhea ko sa'yo. So, may mga tao talaga gano'n. Nagsuka lang isang beses. Because hindi niya na makarga yung kamay niya, yung pala nag-hypokalemia na siya. Nag-replace ako talaga dito pa nahapon. So, arrest siya. Tapos, wala siyang watcher kasi umuwi ng bahay yung kanyang watcher para i-prepare yung gamit niya sa papeles kasi for discharge. So, yun nangyayari yung gano'n. So, treatment for hypokalemia consists of potassium replacement. The rate is determined by the symptoms. So if the hypokalemia is mild or asymptomatic, mababa yung kanyang potassium pero no symptoms, you give a replacement of potassium orally, okay, oral tablets. If it's moderate, no, or severe, you replace the potassium through IV by no more than 10 mg per hour, no, if in an unmonitored setting. Pero kung meron kang ma-hook mo to continuous ECG monitor yung patient, pwede mo increase to 40 mg per hour. No? But of course, you should be very, dapat masyadong bantayan mo yung pasyente, no? Kasi baka bigla siya mag-cardiac arrest because of the malignant arrhythmia-associated hypokalemia, which I think happened to that patient. Hypercalcemia, defined as serum calcium level above the normal range of 8.5 to 10.5 mg per liter, or increase the ionized calcium level above 4.2 to 4.8 milligrams per deciliter. Sino yung mga prone to hypercalcemia in the outpatient setting? Common is patients with primary hyperparathyroidism. Kasi di ba yung calcium, yung parathyroid, yung kinalaman sa synthesis ng calcium. And in the hospitalized setting, no, may patients with certain types of malignancy, no, yung meron mga bone mets, or meron silang secretion of parathyroid hormone related protein, pwede siyang magkaroon ng hypercalcemia. Okay, symptoms, halos the same. Mag-arrhythmia rin siya. No? So treatment is required when hypercalcemia is symptomatic, no, which usually happen when the level exceeds 12 milligrams per deciliter. The critical level is when it reaches 15 milligrams per deciliter. And when symptoms are noted, okay, this may rapidly progress to death. No? So the initial treatment is aimed at replacing the associated volume deficit and then inducing a brisk diuresis with normal saline. Hypocalcemia, no? Low calcium is defined as serum calcium level below 8.5 mg per liter, or decrease in the ionized calcium level below 4.2 milligrams per deciliter. What are the causes? Pancreatitis, massive soft tissue infections like this, necrotizing fasciitis, no? Yung sinasabi nilang flesh-eating bacteria, no? Renal failure, pancreatic fistula and small bowel fistula, hypoparathyroidism, toxic shock syndrome. What is this? You look it up. What is a toxic shock syndrome? Abnormalities in magnesium level, tumor lysis syndrome, research na rin kami yan. Okay, yung removal of parathyroid adenoma, no? Kasi di ba, saan ba banda parathyroid? Sa likod lang sa thyroid, no? Minsan kahit na hindi lang yung minsan kung may mga patient nag-undergo ng total thyroidectomy, pag hindi careful ang surgeon, baka masama niya yung parathyroid. Okay? Or kahit na hindi niya masama ang parathyroid, dahil sa trauma ng surgery, ang inflammation that follows, pwedeng na ma-compromise ang blood flow ng parathyroid sa mga kaiktuan, magkaroon ng hypocalcemia pasyente temporarily. Now question, tinanggal yung thyroid, no? Dalawang yung buong thyroid. Tapos nakita mo, no? Uy, nandoon ang parathyroid sasama, ano gawin mo? Okay. Open mouth. Anong gawin? Pwede nyo i-mince yung no? Nagawa namin a few times, no? Yung parathyroid, i-mince mo siya. Okay? Cut mo ng length. Pagkatapos i-embed mo siya sa muscle, no? Sternothyroidomastoid. Pwede mo siya i-embed. Minsan nga sa parathyroid adenoma, kunyari 4 na parathyroid, no? So mukhang hindi pa sure kung meron kung normal ba lahat, no? Pwede mo gawin is mag-iwan ka, no? I-bend mo rin dito sa shoulder, for example. Para kung maglaki siya, may adenoma siya, malitake mo rin, no? Certain malignancies, no? Like certain breast cancer, hindi lahat ng breast cancer, no? Certain breast cancer o prostate cancer pwede mag-cause ng osteoblastic activity, kaya magkaroon siya ng hypocalcemia. Pancreatitis because they sequester the calcium, no? Ng free fatty acid. Massive blood transfusion. Kasi di ba may sino ba medtech yun? Di ba may citrate man sa Di ba ang citrate is preservative data siya, di ba?
Dissolution is like mag-dissolve.
So kung marami kang i-transfuse ng blood, marami kang citrate pinapasok. So yung citrate, they bind with calcium.
Feeling dissolve na ito.
So kung massive yung blood transfusion mo, magkaroon ng hypocalcemia patient. So, clinical findings, paresthesia of the face and extremities, muscle cramping, carpal spasm, pedal spasm, stridor, seizure, tetany, okay, pag magkuha ka ng tendon reflexia, exaggerated, no? or may hyperreflexia, so, tapos merong positive Bostek sign and Trousseau sign. Ano ba yung Bostek sign? Usually yung nasabi ko pag may patient kami for nag-undergo ng total thyroidectomy, pag kung ikaw duty sa gabi, pag routes mo sa ward, check mo yan, no? Kung baka nagkaroon ng hypocalcemia yung patient. So, ginagawa namin itong Bostek sign sa Trousseau sign. Pero usually, ginagawa namin Bostek sign lang. No? Kasi matrabaho yung Trousseau sign. Hindi naman ganun ka matrabaho, pero siguro tamad na kami magawa. No? Yung Trousseau sign kasi is more sensitive siya than Bostek sign, no? In detecting hypocalcemia. So, ang Trousseau sign, paano ba ginagawa? Kailangan mo lang kasi daliri, no? Finger. So, i-tap mo dito, no? Kasi kung sa hypocalcemia, yung ano kasi, yung calcium kasi, responsible siya for controlling the threshold potential of the neuron. Ngayon, kung may hypocalcemia, okay, so ang threshold potential is decreased, so madaling ma-excite yung nerve. So pag rounds namin, Bostek sign, di ba ano ba yung nerve na dito? Facial nerve. I-tap namin yan. Pag mababa, may hypocalcemia, hyperexcitable yung facial nerve, magkaroon ng twitching sa mukha. Okay? So, pero hindi ibig sabihin na kung may positive Bostek sign sa 100% sa hypocalcemia, i-treat mo kaagad. No. That will prompt you to request to check for the calcium level. Hindi siya bigyan mo, replace natin calcium nito, mababa. Check lang, no? Kasi, maraming positive sa Bostek sign or even sa Trousseau sign na pag i-check mo calcium normal. No? So, pwede siyang maging normal. Hindi siya automatic na may hypocalcemia. Ano na siya? Parang ano na siya, parang prompt lang, oy, check mo ito kasi baka may hypocalcemia. So it's not always 100% na meron. Ang Trousseau sign naman, kailangan mo ng BP apparatus, no? Tapos kunin mo ang blood pressure ng patient, no? Kunyari, 120/80. Ano ang systolic pressure dyan? 120, okay? So, increase mo yung pressure. Siguro gawin mo siyang 130, 140, or 150. Then you retain that, you keep that pressure there, no, yung cuff. Tapos kung meron ito siyang no? So i-block niya yung cuff, sabi i-block niya yung brachial artery, no? Positive Trousseau sign niya siya kung magkaroon ng flexion of the wrist, the thumb, the metacarpophalangeal joints, and extension of the finger, no? May carpal spasm siya. So mag-carpal spasm siya, positive Trousseau sign niya siya. So, ibig sabihin ba may hypocalcemia siya? Yes? Probably, no? Probably. Hindi siya yes ang sagot. Baka, no? Kaya, gawin, next step mo is you request for serum calcium determination. Okay? Then, I'm going to show you a video, no? Two-part video ito. First part nito is yung Bostek sign, no? Take note no, yung patient, meron siyang operasyon sa kanyang anterior neck. Parathyroid, may parathyroidectomy siya or total thyroidectomy. Tapos take note no, pag-tap, meron twitching yung face. No? Yung sa next na video, medyo may carpal spasm na siya, pero nag-progress pa further. No? Pag yung in-increase yung pressure ng cuff. Okay? Kita niyo? Ganyan po. Okay? So, ulitin ko ha. So, kaya minsan pag sa ward, baka akala nyo ginakindatan kayo ng pasyente, hindi ha? Baka pala positive na talaga yung Bostek sign. Baka sabihin mo, Mami, kinikindatan ako ng pasyente namin. Okay. Kita nyo? Okay. So yun yung two-soul sign. No? Hindi ganun na galing. Okay? So kung ganun, ano next step niyan? Check for the calcium. Okay? So if the your patients have hypocalcemia, pero asymptomatic, pwede ka mag-replace no, through oral no, repletion no, or oral replacement. If it is acute and symptomatic, you can give calcium no, by giving 10% calcium gluconate by IV to achieve a serum concentration of 7 to 9 mg per deciliter. Pero ano, rapid or slow? Slow, okay? And also check for associated deficits in magnesium and potassium, no? And it should be also be corrected. Okay? So please read your textbook, okay? Any question? That's my last slide. Okay, thank you.
Jay, stop na dyan.